This conference will now be recorded.
Hare Krishna, welcome back to our online Bhagavad Gita reading retreat labs. So, in the last session, we have seen the verse number 14 to 20, what are the different signs of victory in the chapter 1. So, today we are going to start with the verse number 21 till verse number 27, where exactly Krishna is described as a Bhakta Vatsala. So, we'll try to go through all this. Then without any delay, let's now go back to our database. Chapter number 1, verse number 21 and 22 combined together here. So as usual, we'll not be going through the word by word translation, word by word meaning. Directly we will go to the translation purport. Translation. Arjuna said, O infallible one, please draw my chariot between the two armies so that I may see those present here who desire to fight and with whom I must contend in this great trial of arms. Purport. Although Lord Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, out of his causeless mercy, he was engaged in the search of his friend. He never fails in his affection for his devotees, and thus he is addressed herein as infallible. In charioteer, he had to carry out the orders of Arjuna, and since he didn't hesitate to do so, he is addressed as infallible. Although he had accepted the position of a charioteer for his devotee, his supreme position was not challenged. In all circumstances, he is the supreme personality of Godhead, Rishikesh, the Lord of the total senses. The relationship between the Lord and his servitor is very sweet and transcendental. The servitor is always ready to render service to the Lord, and similarly, the Lord is always seeking an opportunity to render some service to a devotee. He takes great pleasure in his pure devotees assuming the advantageous position of ordering him than he does in being the giver of orders. Since he is master, everyone is under his orders, and no one is above him to order him. But when he finds that a pure devotee is ordering him, he obtains transcendental pleasure, although he is the infallible master in all circumstances. As a pure devotee of the Lord, Arjuna had no desire to fight with his cousins and brothers, but he was forced to come onto the battlefield by the obstinacy of Duryodhana, who was never agreeable to any peaceful negotiation. Therefore, he was very anxious to see who the leading persons present in the battlefield were. Although there was no question of a peacemaking endeavor on the battlefield, he wanted to see them again and to see how much they were bent upon demanding an unwanted war. Now we will move to the next verse, chapter number 1, verse number 23. Translation. Let me see those who have come here to fight. We seem to please the evil-minded son of Dhritarashtra. Purport. It was an open secret that Duryodhana wanted to usurp the kingdom of the Pandavas by evil plans. In collaboration with his father Dhritarashtra, therefore, all persons who had joined the side of Duryodhana must have been the bards of the same feather. Arjuna wanted to see them on the battlefield before the fight was begun, just to learn who they were, but he had no intention of proposing peace negotiations with them. It was also a fact that he wanted to see them to make an estimate of the strength which he had to face. Although he was quite confident of victory because Krishna was sitting by his side. Now we will the next verse, chapter number 1, verse number 24. Translation. Sanjay said, O descendant of having thus been addressed by Arjuna, Lord Krishna drew up the fine chariot in the midst of the armies of both parties. Purport. In this verse, Arjuna is referred to as Gurakesh. Guraka means sleep, and one who conquers sleep is called Gurakesha. Sleep also means ignorance. So Arjuna conquered both sleep and ignorance because of his friendship with Krishna. As a great devotee of Krishna, he couldn't forget Krishna even for a moment because that is the nature of a devotee. Either in waking or in sleep, a devotee of the Lord can never be free from thinking of Krishna's name, form, qualities, and pastimes. Thus, a devotee of Krishna can conquer both sleep and ignorance simply by thinking of Krishna constantly. This is called Krishna consciousness or samadhi. As Rishikesh, or the director of the senses and mind of every living entity, Krishna could understand Arjuna's purpose in placing the chariot in the midst of the armies. Thus he did so and spoke as follows. Now we move to the next verse. That is chapter number 1, verse number 25. Translation. In the presence of Bhisma, Drona, and all the other chieftains of the world, the Lord said, just behold, Partha, all the Kurus assembled here. Purport. As the supersoul of all living entities, Lord Krishna could understand what was going on in the mind of Arjuna. The use of the word Rishikesh in this connection indicates that he knew everything. And the word Partha, meaning the son of Pritha or Kunti, is also similarly significant in reference to Arjuna. As a friend, he wanted to inform Arjuna that because Arjuna was the son of Pritha, the sister of his own father, Vasudeva, he had agreed to be charioteer of Arjuna. Now, what did Krishna mean when he told Arjuna to behold the Kurus? Did Arjuna want to stop there and not fight? Krishna never expected such things from the son of his aunt Pritha. The mind of Arjuna was thus predicted by the Lord in friendly joking. Now we will move to the next verse. That is chapter number 1, verse number 26. Translation. There Arjuna could see within the midst of the armies of both parties his fathers, grandfathers, teachers, maternal uncles, brothers, sons, grandsons, friends, and also his fathers in law and well wishers. On the battlefield, Arjuna could see all kinds of relatives. He could see persons like Bhurishrava, who were his father's contemporaries, grandfathers Bhisma and Somadatta, teachers like Dronacharya and Kripacharya, maternal uncles like Salya and Sakuni, brothers like Duryodhan, sons like Lakshmana, friends like Ashwatthama, well-wishers like Ritavarma. He could see also the armies which contained many of his friends. Now we'll move to the next verse, chapter number 1, verse number 27. Translation. When the son of Kunti, Arjuna, saw all these different grades of friends and relatives, he became overwhelmed with compassion and spoke thus. So we will stop here this for today's session. So just to summarize, we have seen how Krishna as Bhakta Vatshal has been described here in this verse number 21 to verse number 27. So basically in the verse number 20, 25, we have seen, desiring to see different supporters of Duryodhana, Arjuna asked Krishna to take the chariot between the two armies. And in verse number 26 to 27, we have seen seeing different kinds of relatives. Arjuna becomes overwhelmed with compassion. So in the next session, we will see verse number 28 to verse number 46. It is all about Arjuna's reasons not to fight. So we'll be seeing the various reasons why Arjuna decided not to fight and how he became grief stricken. Okay. So we'll stop here. See you in the next session. Hare Krishna.